nabo non si vai kai kai le ono pau biak lal kai ya vk to na class 12 chim lai art stream na ka hi tunia debate kang nei ding o topic kai le e scoring high mark the test of good student e ha ma le ditalai mark sang pi mu hi na pang ho 879 hai che hi a naw pang hoi ichi pen hi dan le nung changa hoi chau hi lovin de khasim na lama jong improve ma ngai him hu chau jang hi lovin naw pang ti hi in sung ha asa le in sung kho sa na ha asa hong ki pan jong mai theva a hi lo le in sung na wang ki pan jong hi the hi him naw pang hoi chu lung tang lama ta asa lama le ngai to na le lung sim sa na lama hat ma defeat ma hi yo mitum gu le mi tai ma hi wam ama hoi sabang gen di talai thirds of knowledge ki chi ahim mak sang pp mu theina diu ni ama hoi le khabu sim tai ma le khasim tai ma sabha ba gen di lai bookworms ichi te evit two books ahiwa hu khu in knowledge chu abai alaba social issue in circumstances ni china thil tung tia knowledge chu bi lap sa hu khu in alekha azil nawa alekha zil nawa exam nawa mark sang pi moding na pan pi hi polo na bang hoi mark sang pi ngu theina ding hi struggle ngai ma khanna self evaluated ang nei ngai ha mark sang pi mu theina ding ni ama tian struggle tampi ya tho ngai ya khanna self maintenance akoi ko in evolve thelo ama tian evolve the hi time is money chi thu pilin angil ma bangin hun zan hi siam ma wa time table hoi ta nein le kha sim hon ding ama le kha sim hon ding mona ki phia ba ama ti ho chau jong hi lawin le kha sim na wa ama ti knowledge tha le he theina ning siam na pil na hon na wa knowledge tha nei theina ding ni pan ha na ma wa zan sot a hi lo le hun le amun zir chau ngai lawin ahun le amun zira boy lawin ama ti aha san na hon na a hi lo le akiman lo hon jong le kha alung tang wa maก็เคยมาสังพิมพ์เดียนปันปีมาฮีเพราะเราทราบพามันเกินตอนนี้เลย get organized จีบังเพราะเรามาบ้านคนดีมาบ้านคนตรงดีง่ะมาเตียนปันมุนหอยตาในบ้างมาบ้านดีกว่าเกินอะไรคัสเที่ยวสิมัวฮีเพราะเรามาเที่ยวมาสังพิมพ์ที่นาอาเซียฮีแหละ they are punctual they have a good characters อิจิเตะมาเกินตอนนี้เลยมาที่จานหอยเลยนุ่งจังหอยในมีเตียสะตัดที่หาอุมาฮีบะอามาสังมูนาวน์ให้มีเตีย motivation หอยตาเนี่ยมีเตีย motivation หอยตาเนี่ยผู้เจ้าจังเลยอามาเลยอามา motivation นักเพียวฮีฮี motivation อันนี้จะมีเตียยิ่งอามาที่กำสุงหินสกุลละ society อิตาลี role model หอยตาฮีผู้เจ้าจังเลยมาสังมูเปลี่ยนเจ้าฮิโลวินabout in education skill education ane iwam skill education cha hiloin quality education ane nalayo ahim hiteng hi ka present hi.
A very good afternoon everyone. I am Florence Nineva Baite, presently studying class 12 science in St. Paul's Institute. So I'll be asking you 3 questions.
Yes.
So my first question is, are all bookworms good students?
Yes, all bookworms are good students. I mean to say that they are interested in studying their own subjects. Above that, they are interested in studying other novels, book or articles or any books in preference to their subject, so that improve their knowledge in the sense that leads them to score high marks.
Then, are all good students bookworm?
Yes, to be said, because
no, I don't agree with this, because not all good students are bookworm, because this some people, not just books, they want to be more practical. They are not just into books. So I don't think that all good students are bookworms. It's not that good to say that all good students are bookworm.
to be said that most of our officers in our society are a good student to be said, because those who had cracked UPSC exams, SSC exams, they need to struggle through many circumstances, many difficulties, in which they had to go through many books, yes, that lead them to be bookworms. Bookworms need to be habitual. So,
but if we're going to go through that, all those those officers and all, many of them would say they would not say that they are bookworms, because bookworms is something that people who are so totally into books, like they have obsession with books. So I don't think it's right to say that all good students will be bookworms. My second question is, do all students who scored high marks really be punctual and really be interested in studies, those who scored high marks?
yes, to be said, those who score high marks are punctual and interested in their studies, because they need to maintain their studies time. First of all, they have good aims in their lives. Secondly, and thirdly, they are self-motivated. So to be said, they are punctual.
But like scoring high marks, like they don't have to be punctual. Like there are so many students, like many of us, they would study for just one night, like one night, and then they would get good marks.
One night studying did not lead them to high marks, because the syllabus are vast.
But it will lead them to studies, because I have personally experienced that. So I said, like one night study, and then for the exam we will know, and then we will write what we write down. After the exam, everything's over. So just scoring high marks, but for
just scoring high marks for one night studies, it will not lead to high mark, because average high mark, when we say average high mark, it's 80, 90 plus above, and one night studies will lead them only to pass mark or 40, 60 marks.
That if we are going to say that all those students who scored high marks are good students, then just because he scored or he or she scored high marks doesn't mean that he is really good. It means that he might also have copied or something like corruption. For example, let me take the example.
Copied student doesn't score high marks. I mean that they only score pass mark or above 40 plus, 60 plus.
But
those who score high marks, they work hard. They are competent.
No, even in board exams, some compete and then they get like high marks, higher than some people. Of course, they'll study, but just because that they get high marks doesn't mean that we have to consider them as good students. Because, like let's say, for example, our debate topic is scoring high marks the test of a good student, right? So this is just one dimension. When we consider a good student, we need to look in different dimensions. So this scoring, just because of scoring high marks, will never determine whether someone is good or not, because a good student might not score that high also. That's why this is just one dimension.
I say that most of the students score high marks because of their hard work and competence, because they are fighters. That means that they are punctual in their studies, in their own field of studies.
But that is just books, right? That is just theory. So let me ask you something, like our exam nowadays, our mode of exam or how to score high marks is through like exams, right? Yes. So this our topic, let's concentrate on the academics, like school performance, not for like others. My last question is, does scoring high marks determine our life?
Yes. Scoring high marks will determine our life, right? Because studies is the most important things of all in our society. Yes, our ex-deputy commissioner Jacinta had said that we the Chardarian have no other resources except education. So education, in the sense, scoring high marks in our academic, in any examinations, will lead us to our life. And in any education. And the first question which we have in our exams, or when our results are out, is it how many letter marks did he score, or how many percent did he get? This will lead them to a better livelihood in any good institutions in their future life or in competitive examinations.
But if you see, like there are so many students, there are so many school-going students, but among all the school-going students, see those ring holders, only some of them will get ring, right? So many of them will not get ring. So how do you say that it will determine our life? We will all be living our life with different fields. We all have different talents. Some might not score good marks in the exams, but they might be good in singing, playing guitar. They may be athletic sports persons. They may be successful in different fields. So we can't judge based on the scoring high marks.
Other positions that we are not talking about our talents, but it's about economics. It's about our academics.
Sports persons will bring economic. Like, see, for example, let's say Milindonga, like he's in sports. He's in sports person. How many economic value did he have? Like, you see, for example, so many others like Mary Com. In terms of, you are going to consider in terms of economic. If you are going to consider
in terms of high marks,
it's not. But
yes, we are talking about academic session, not about economics or talents. It's about.
But you say that my question was that does scoring high marks determine our life path?
Yes.
And
it will determine our
but
life.
This scoring high marks will not determine our life path.
Will determine our life in future.
It will not determine.
Yes, it will determine our life in future.
Mary Com, she didn't even she just finished matriculation and then she is a DSP. She's an officer. And how can you determine that it is her marks is determining her success? Her marks doesn't matter at all in this case.
In sports, there is no qualification if they are qualified in physical.
In the same way, that's why. That was my question. Like, you said scoring high marks will determine our success, but the scoring high marks will determine our success
in any educational field of, for example, competitive examinations where we got in competitive examinations where we had exams. Firstly, they will look on our marks.
That one, like the new education policy is coming up, and then that was the old education policy. So now the new education policy will eradicate that one, and they will look into different fields.
Yes, but we are not on the new education policy. We are on all education policy, which focus on numbering systems in our.
Yeah, that was our mistake. That was our mistake. That's why we can't be developed compared to other countries. So now we are going to follow up it will be implemented very soon. So this new education policy will determine, will find out new talents, innovative, self-reliant country. So our debate topic is scoring high marks the test of a good student? And my answer is no, because being a good student should be look in multi-dimension, but scoring high marks is depicting only one dimension. So it is the potential, creativity, innovation, curiosity that define whether a student is good or bad. Ay pawa sa iding ato good student at titing le student park ito here kunung le piha hung lo ling te han mark sang ta amuding school azang topper hovel ring ala ding chipale kunung le piha lo hin na hung nei ding hung pulut te ding ho student pa is mo hin ahin la school azang a hilole mark sang ta mulawa hi wanga kunung le piha dekha hoi ta smale student hung lo hin thei jang hi ti kasai numin mark wang hin student pa ave poi aji chu student pa ki titingale mark bawa ivatule ivat hildiwa hin masanga society wa ibolu chu tu azang hi ibol na layo hin board exam result nang na percentage zat ham ti ham dia percentage mark ha ikidem mo hin na jai khang to thailo mi chu lekha langa thim lo mai thei ai wanga chu thildang dang azang thim thai mark a hi mark hin student pa biha attest na mark a student packet test na chat a hipoem. I want to say that all intelligent students may be good students, but not all good students are intelligent. Lekha mark sang ta mutipale lekha thung team tina ahi wanga chu mark sang lo mu ahi wanga chu student apa lungia jang kichim ti hovel jang thei hina cha chu mark bo sa chu mi tip lo chu idem thei lo du here. And I want to say that my third point is scoring high marks is only theory, not practical. So how many of us learn physics, chemistry? Like we all write down in a piece of paper in exams. Exam mark is easy to till tam ta. Lekha chu igazi le zidi kya compose it is le mizo se to exam bole ka compose de he exam mark ti to cha chu cha compose ho pa sa chu mark exam ma chu ta compose le lekha chu igazi ala chun mark kha chu izi za chu kimu thai cho ai la practical la za di pha le ki jang thai lo tabang like irrigation system farmer ti ho vela jang chu nai to na wa jang we learn about irrigation system, rainwater harvesting. Ay vanga ay hola nga so practical azang kizang numbe selo. Ilekha simho hi practical azang kizang numbe selo na. Tisa chu mark sang ta gamua theory ti dan chu gazi thona. Lai mark sang ta amu ay vang practical apan na bay tam atama tam lekha sim tu lai simlai te ho atama tam tai. And all students have different skills and talents. Students also have skills that anay na ala sa langa team ham sports langa team ham ay lawale dance ham ay lawale till to say team lang na to like biham YouTuber ho jang tam ta hong tai cho jang chu atalen khata hena to say tip na ti hovel sum hol na ti lekha langa chu ga team hi uzang le anwa akihin su thaina tip na amwa Tildang dangagom take just looking at scoring high marks. Nah, that is just one dimension. We need to look in various fields like atip now that chum hozang event ngayo hin. Chuban le example ilekha langa ha tutia cha ha tipa timbe lo mark sang ta gamu hi jang le hi wanga e hola het the kha chu himadas kumsom ni le khat numai khat DSP she is a national athlete. Amazang hi kumsom ni lekhata 21-year-old DSP officer atu hitai na amazang chu lekha langa chu tiala chun tipna sangta ta mark sangta ta jang chu gamulo mai the mark sangta ta vadinga le ama chu bad student hi ta chula we need to consider her as a bad student because she scored like she don't do well in academics. So judging based on high marks is not the test of a good student. And Mary Kom say dinga chu vanilla sit pum pia dinga chu ma chu boxing adinga India dinga jang ki thangat pi ta aban ei ho society adinga jang chu ki thangat pi ta hina ama jang chu lekha langa chu verale a in pute chun lekha thim mo sa ana sim sa wan lang hile lekha simin boy lekha simi apoi mo pe na he lekha na thip lo le ana ti lang ana to sat he lang na hila chun tu a adin mun hi atu lo de cho aji chu min ei ho hin mark sang ta bo to student pha het yai lo cho hi wanga cho thildang athip na dang mark hi jang le thildang athip na dang a cho aza ale achina ding a feel lam pia cho chile piha lo hing ta hung su thaina mark langa ki vat ding ale amate ni hi failure hi dita cho hi wanga they are successful person, they are good students. Studying for exam and studying for knowledge is different. Lekha is simple, lekha is muhu textbook jang notebook jang notes. Final exam di le notebook izat ki jang cha notebook thum ho vel jang ki jang cha ji cho. Ai le chizo chihu kisim textbook jang book reference book ho jang guidebooks ti ho vel tam ta kisim exam ahung su ho board exam test ho vel aju like there are only like 10 questions but board exam aju 33 questions ho bo. Atam pena jang 40 jang hingzo lo cho exam ho board exam ho vel ajang cho khubanga chutia lekha ki hasma ahung ki dongkul hom cha bo cha exam adinga is simple le teacher honang syllabus ang pi cho syllabus dungzuya kisim syllabus dungzuya mark sangmu na dinga cho isimale syllabus ka bobo cho kisim dina exam asim to ihin hu ahilal ihet na ding momwa kisim ki banglaw hi je cho het na dinga isim dinga le pha jang lut abon bona sentence wise akilut cho e wanga exam isim di phale ipiham ahung su de chi topic ki apoi mo e ta ki no do syllabus ipiham ta se syllabus kitna exam isim to het na dinga kisim ki banglaw syllabus adinga isim ahilole exam adinga isim phatle mark sangta ta ki mu e exam ma bawa simlawa ama het na ding moma practical azang za thai til ho lungdut ta sim ho cho am ho chu best student na I consider du tam chu thai ki lo cho aji chu am ho lekha chu banga ha simuwa hoita ta simu cho mark sang amu lo za chu best student ti na hi di lo chu ja chu mark sang ta mu hi good student ho test na jang chu hi na hin la good student zo si chu mark sang ta mu hi jang le good student hi thau di hem and mark sang ta gamu hi lak jang hi thai hina alak ka thina ji chu like board exam invigilator ho cho aga strict be lo ai lo le bia copy na thai chan jang min an nei the cho aban le examiner ho answer paper check hon jang akim kha chu teacher jang ki banglo na teacher kim kha chu answer paper check pha le strict be lo atik ti dan chu mark amo pp full mark azi na langkhat achun azi hun chu ga ki bang ta jang le khat pa strict za chu amalung dei to ki tu lo le like 3 marks dinga chu 2 ati le khat adinga chu hung tam ta khat adinga tam hom ta alekha a het hun la ki bang chat invigilator hon jang invigilator ho strict za chu mark sang khat pan mark sang ta amuta khat pan mark sang mutalo achu tile chu khat pa chu mark hom zo amu za chu bad student diham bad student hidi lo di na aji chu ma chu good student hi thau de chu aji chu aman a het chu is just that a mark chu poi mo lo chu na a het na chu poi mo mark sang ta khat in amu wang cha a het na hun chu ki bang thau chu za chu mark sang mu jang hit will depend on the question paper a het question paper a het ngan chang ahung su kha le anasim ho chu tu jingkala gasim le tu jingkala simpen exam ahung su le azi le mark amu cho ta bang ho jang chum thai chi za chu mark sang ta gamu wanga chu good student a hi ti na te chu ahung point and students so hin like a copy a hi lo le Bihar cheating ti hovel bol numen ti dan chu example aga pi tha chu Bihar topper 2016 anu chu Ruby Rai jang chu Bihar ale kha ama chu like cheating scam hovel na ahung ki do na jang chu ama chu ki do hi ve to interview bol le political science ti jang chu prodigal science ti lekha khat simlai chipang khat ki ya le chun political is subject ho be I hate achil the ho chu question paper ho chu gadong be te jang la a subject a pronunciation be che het ngai chu na ti dan chu mark a bo ai va ding al ama chu cheating a hi wanga chu mark a chu vel ama chu athi ma ki he ta chai wanga inside asanga chu ipiam zero knowledge sizing chu na ama chu political science jang asai thailo chu chita banga chu mark sang ta mu chu mi ga respect a hi lo le mark sang mi khat chu mark lom mu ja chu ga mu sit ti athi mo chum tina hi di pon mark sang aga mu ja chu hat ba thi mo jang ai pon it depends on the person like iki ho pi phale ama a het na chu ipi ham hum ki hado pande bala it will not just nowadays it will not just be on the marks mi chu achip lo het na dinga chu ki ho pi ding ipi ham leadership skills ipi ne ham communication skills till nang skills that chum anai ngai a hi na good student ho hol do thaina dinga chum and like mark sang ta tai phale there will be obsession to like scoring high marks some students or some they have obsession to scoring high marks like even our friends you will know some of them like na topper ho hilo le na loi ho la chum veta mark sang ta amuji ai chu lekha na sima ti le lekha ka sim kha poi ma cha ke he poi ati wanga chu example le mark sang ta amu kitna lekha jang mi jang hil num lo that obsession to scoring high marks will prevent you from peer learning like loi ho to ki hil home to na learning it will prevent us from that and it will reduce our critical thought and it will ultimately makes us a selfish student to ama chu mark sang ta amu ta chu na aloi ho jang hil num lo aloi ho ko ma jang zo say like I don't aloi ho discourage ti dan wa chu lekha jang simngai lo ka he lo ti ho vela sai ju e wa cha mo chu mark sang ta athima chu ha sma na chita bong ho chu like amo chu good student mark sang ta wedding mark chu vel amo chu good student hita chu hi wanga chu in another sense they are not good student but rather they are selfish student and to is a kasai num kit khat chu to mark sang ta muwa PhD MA MSc BA hung chai na graduate so tam ta chu they are scoring high marks but how many of them are unemployed mark sang ta academic ka chu vata le mark sang ta moi wanga job jang mu tholo jang tam ta aju tile cho ta bang ho chun marking it will not define us so rising rate of unemployed graduates masters and PhDs in our country or locality prove that scoring high marks is useless and so in the end I want to say that scoring high marks will not determine our success and it will not determine our life to nang mark sang na mulawa jang le na china dinga chun chi jing ta khat mark ta skula maths na lawa jang le la sa na tha nu male la sa langa chun ga chi jing in lang ithanup nup na because we need to live for our passion right a passion ilunglut na chu chi di hin And if we're going to talk about high marks, let's talk about Albert Einstein. Like Albert Einstein to physics history class to history he's not interested in history class. Like even his teachers would be like it would become useless in the future, it would be nothing, you are ashamed to our school as well. Ama to drop out student ele Albert Einstein hi banga kisim class 10 la yazang Albert Einstein tu ho kisim simjing bibola ama mark sangta tamlo a fail zi pa chu bibola min to hi ama thu kisim ham tile ama mark a hi abui pilo chu ama na sai chu piam tile mark sangta tai mule what is the full mark, like what is the full mark? For example, full mark is there in every exam. There will be full mark, right? Full mark like 100 or for NEET like 720, if I'm not wrong. Then there will be so many like mark sang ta full mark thai cho hi wanga cho ilungel pa imagination pa innovative ideas pa hi full mark ai lole ki chai ti thai lo. It is limitless. So we should not try like many of us will try to get full mark, but that full mark is the end. But our innovation, our innovative thoughts, they are limitless. So lekha mark bawahi igyal dingale ayo ilekha simuzang asu buidi na ja to ihet na dinga aya dinga ipihi simleng poi modi ham ipihi ka bole ka hin kwa ki pa na thai hung hi thai dham ti ho vel ti ho zo hi ilunglut du aban le to world's richest man tu le to the latest, right? To le to a richest man to a house apian pa Elon Musk ai na Elon Musk ang tu lekha langa tile mark langa chu tile ha be lo di to hi wanga to a richest man hita to ma pian tile lekha bu ho asima na lekha bu sim mark exam point of view hi lo to. Now like what we're ema book, you said bookworm before, right? We talk about bookworm. So when we talk about bookworm, those bookworm will not get full mark like from reading. This our debate topic is scoring high marks, right? High marks ititing like exam khato kisay na to exam khato kisay 19 exam pe na chu mark sang tata gamu hi jangle ama idea alungel achi ala chun thil tam tata bol thaina skills ngai hina skills wa pa cha chu ama chu good student azang kisim thai hi cha chu mark sang bo hin ihin khu hilawale ipiham ihin khu hoi le itip nat student pile student palo avat sapon ai ho society a ibol khilu hi chapang ho hi piha lekha halkat mark a feel a hilole mark halkat amu hom diwale piha chichang bo chu na mu hilole topper a hung jing ho chu lekha team momonga igel na lekha student ama chu chapang phata he ti ho vela igel chu le mark sang ta ani wa pa sa full mark humwa hilawale piha topper ngan rengwan ngana hunga hi wanga drug addict mi zatumam na drug addict hu chu mo chu drugs, so they are into drugs, then just drug addict hi wanga chu mark sang ta mu thai ki chuna. Even though they are drug addicts, they can also score like good marks, they can also score full marks, then they cannot be considered as good student, right? So let's not try to a society evolve du khat chu student ho hi pi ham tile ipia aki humble khat na aki humble those who work hard, like even though they don't score good marks, they don't score that very high marks, they are not up to the mark, they kha hoi ta hung sima hung pon thot a hung sim, like they are patient na, that those who are patient. And PT said ham lekha hoi ta hong sim phata sim mark sang ta gamu hi jang am ho jang chu good student azang sim the he ti ka sai nu me ki pa
I would raise 3 questions from your presentation. That the first question which I am to raise is, how can you say that it is only one dimension?
It is one dimension because scoring high marks, right? Scoring high marks, the test of a good student, right? Yes. Scoring high marks, the test of a good student. Like scoring high marks, when we talk about scoring high marks, it is only the marks. Like good student, as I said before, a good student might not score very good marks. Like he might be good in communication skills, like he might have like constant, like he might be, have very good discipline. She might not get like the highest marks in the class, but she might also be a good student because mark sang ta amu wanga chu good student ai hi tina hi di lo so one dimension ka tina ji so high marks is only one. We are looking in only one. Like for example, like beauty contest, let's say, right? Beauty contest, like they are looking the rank walk, their personality. They will do like feel, like they would go for interviews and then they would go around. They will have a project, and then they will also look for beauty. Just like that, when they will select a candidate, right? In the same way, to look for a good student who test na ding achu mark sang ta bo hilawintin, we need to look in different fields, various fields. So I say that it is one dimension. No, that's why I say that it is multi-dimension, not only one dimension.
Yes, thank you for that. My second question would be, do you say that skill doesn't require education in our talents?
Well, as we need to go back to the topic again, because scoring high marks is the test of a good student, right?
Yes.
So skills, when we talk about skills, we are all getting educated. So those who score less marks are also educated, right? Those who score less marks are also educated. And
education in the sense, what do you mean by education?
like
in the
they will go to school. No, they will go to school. They will do
going to
exam.
school only
They
means
will go-
educating others?
No, they will go to school, they will do the exam, and then they might not score high marks, right? They might not score high marks, but they will have they can use their knowledge into practical use. Like we have so many mechanics, those who they might be a failure in class, like they might always fail in the class, but they make our motorcycles, bikes, and there are so many things.
Most of them, you say that mechanics, they use their education in, most of the mechanics, you say that they use their knowledge in practical, but most of them, to be say in our society, most of the mechanics, they are of not getting 10 standard. So how can use their own knowledge?
Yeah, that's why
in class,
I say. That is why
in
I
high
say
school standard they did not learn mechanics.
Scoring high marks is not the test of a good student. They are not getting good marks, but they can earn their livelihood. So the thing is, good student iti phale akunung le sumung na ding hilawale pihahung lo ding tiwa tabang chu cho ani ki hol thai di, like they can earn their livelihood. Like good student, when we talk about good student, they will have a bright future, right? So marks ang ta amulaw wanga chu ni ki hol thai ta chu la cha chu they have skills. So ni ki hol thai chu ja chu marks ang ta mu hi isang le. So even though they don't get high marks, they can still earn their livelihood and they can continue to go on with their life. So marks doesn't depend on our life doesn't depend on scoring high marks.
My last question would be then, why do the highly educated people doesn't get unemployed? Can you explain this?
What?
Highly educated people, you say that PhD, BA, MS, they did not get unemployed. Why do you mean that?
I think this one, I have heard from some also. So from some like those who finished their masters, they were like they studied for marks. They studied for marks, and when they study, as I said before, studying for exam and studying for knowledge is different, right? So they will get good marks. Like in PhD, they can come as first class, second class also. But without the knowledge, without that, how to say, like they will write very well for the marks. But inside, because of their the foundation is not that strong. They only try to get high marks. Like as I said before, they will just study. Even though if it's not one night, they will study just 1 week or 1 month before the exam, and then they will get good marks. Like it, just like that. So there are so many unemployed.
On this unemployment, let's see that unemployment in India or in our country is high because those who get high marks in to be said in PhD, where they are pursuing PhD, masters, and over their educations. Those who got high marks, who are high percentage in their education, first of all, in any institute or in any sectors, when they interviewed, first of all, they'll see their percentage. When the percentage is high and their knowledge is high, and when they, then that means, first of all, they are in success, to be said. So, scoring high marks determine good student, I see.
Okay, yeah, you say that they look the marks, right? For example, let's say UPSC exam, UPSC, like Union Public Service Commission. So in this UPSC, first they will have prelims, right? So that is also true marks, and they will also go through the mains, and then many of them failed in the interview because some of them might be very good in writing, but they need to have that communication skills, as I said before. So just scoring high marks in the pen and paper mode will not determine the test of a good student, I have to say. So we need to have different kinds of fields. So as I said before, the new education policy will will change this system, and then so that students can go to various fields, according to their talents, and it will bring out more innovative and more self-reliant students for the country.
First of all, how can you say that without using this new education policy, how can you say that it would be effective in our education system? First of all, we doesn't use the new education policy, how can you say that it will be effective? Do we have the proof?
Yes, because as you can see, because we have the proof, because India has not been using this education policy. So other countries like Japan, they are using this education policy.
Yes, they are already developed countries. India is still on developing countries.
We are still developing. That's why we need to be more developed. We are developing, so we need to copy those developing countries. Like we need to copy those developed countries. If we are going to be developed and then we are not copying the good things, the good outcomes of other countries, how are we going to progress? Like so. This new education policy, we should not just base it on this exam mode, but it should also be based on the life skills.
On education policy, yes, we say that in the first stage, from nursery to class 5, it means that they would studies in their own dialect. Does that mean that it will be effective in our education system?
Because if you see, because I think they did this one because I think the basic, as I said before, the basic foundation is important. And even if we look into other countries, like for example the English, the Americans, that is already their language, that is they are learning in their own language. And Japan, even their books will be in Japanese letters. And Korean, they are also learning in their Korean alphabets. So even in India, so we can use our own local dialects to learn, and then after some time when we are we can teach in both. It doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to use only mother tongue. We can use both English medium and mother tongue medium as well, so we can choose.
Learning of language of the children is between 3 to 6 years, and learning both or only mother tongues, does it mean that it will improve in our education? Because after this class 5 they would study in English.
That's what I say, that 3 to 6 years old they can also learn in both mother tongue medium and English medium, so both, so they need to learn in both, they can teach in both.
Okay.
Cái hi le ka phan kwal sing so ne ben academy pan ka hi tu ni debate topic dia hi le is scoring a high mark the test of a good student. Yes, scoring high mark the test of a good student. Ama sabi na introduction pa dina student iti siam sin tu gen na hiya sin tu hoi na te na tampi om dinga wai te la ka exam akite ahia siam sin tu ini the yam the ki yam chi te na kha exam hi hoya kha tua hi manina exam mark mo hoi ngei lo tu sin tu hoi ki che thei lo hi student ani na student hoi in ma ban ding sau pian ma ban di sau pi mo khol hi scholarship college admission chi te kam te mu na dinga mark sang tak mu poi ma hi tu lai din mana kha hoi bana hoi te lungsima koi ko ma student hoi in mark sang pi mu thei na ding lam pi jongin mark sang pi mu thei na ding lam pi jongin ha pan ma hi ma hoi mu ichi thil nom hilawin ka khat ka ni khat ni sim khonga exam di ni khat ni sim khonga mark sang pi mu thei mok lawa ilung sim tak pi to itum gu na to akum akha sim nga ya competitive mind dewa hi chang akha mark sang pi ki mu thei pan hi hujidana lung sim zatak ne ya pang thei te kha student hoi ki je la hi exam sang tak taka pass te mi thu mang le hil nop te tang pi u hi athu mang a ku kal te ma lo ching bai zo hi mak mu hoi in ma ban sa sau pi wang sak thei hi aziak pen school dang hiam mai ki admit di chang a kha i percentage hoi ya hoi lo chi kha hong kien din chin progress ka ta attitude ของเกณฑ์ดาว่าอย่ามีสร้างอันตุ้งตวนเจ้ากาน่าหอยเจ้ากาเลยค่ะอันน่ะ ignore ที่เราดิ้งไว้ที่ว่าอย่างนะสปอร์ตล้ำหินบางล้ำหินเลยกามจนน่ะล้ำอ่ะสปอร์ตอาร์ตเลยสกูลเทสดัน trial ของในเจลวะว่าอย่าอาทิตย์ตุ้งตวนเลยเอาตุ้งตวนไปเล่นในตุ้งตวนเดี๋ยวเตะค่ะอามา academy representative เดียสอนแค่เจลุยหัวใจเราว่า attitude ไอ้เกลบางทีเนี่ยอีมินจ้าหอยเราอันนั้นลงเพ่งตัวมเตะค่ะบางมาตันตุ้งเจ้าเราว่าสาวปีเล็ตุ้งไทยตัวเราไว้ไว้บ้านะมากันดีนค่ะ education is all round development อันนั้นจีeducation นี่จีจังอะค่ะ all round development ในตรงตัวน่ะ attitude เละอีบางขัดอีหินดานอีมาร์กหมู่ดานอีเกล classroom ช่วงงานดานเตะหอยตะกาเกียนกิ่มเวกะหิมันนี่นะ student หอยอีนาดิ้งอะค่ะมาร์กสังหมู่เละป่วยหมู่มาร์กสังหมู่อินค่ะอีมาบานเละ20 ปีอ่อนกอกบานนะฮีเอ็ดสังนาดีนะซิกเละซิกเย็นเตนันนี่ electric boss บางตากมาฮิเละแล้วก็เก็บผู้จ้างอะค่ะเอกินนอนเล็กจ้างฮอนเนตันตุ้งล้ำหอยหลายมาเลยหงเก็บไปจัดที่เราไม่ชัวร์กันมันนี่นะเลสติวเดนนี่ช่วงอีกิบุลพูนาหอยอีกิบุลพูนาหอยเกียร์เลยซิกตัวเอกินอันนี้ตันดานาค่ะมาบ้านดีค่ะหวังแล้ววะฮอนเนสมัยมาทีดีไงไหวบ้านะตุกะมีเงินตุกะกี่ยาตะฮีตุกะหอยเลยยาเลี้ยงหอยดีจีน่าฮีอิตุกะหอยกี่ยาเลยยาเลี้ยงหอยเราดีไงปุลตุอินผมเกรเนตของเน็กที่มอกเราไว้มันนี่นะตุเงับมากี่ยาดีไงไว้มาบางนะtopic is scoring high mark the test of a good student จิตกกี่บางซิมินาวันกับน้ำปีจันนาตกกี่บางทว่าฮีtopic กูค่ะในตรงนี้ขวาค่ะที่เราอีเซปต์มาประธานเดียดานอีเซปต์มาเลยวันก็มาอีกเอาดีคนตั้มอีกเอาดีตั้มปีกี่คนมาบางอย่างค่ะสติวเดนนี่ช่วงกูกัลตักเลยลุงซิมใจตักทันวามตักเลยลุงเลียนตะกาค่ะหลายสิมาเลยมาร์กหอยกี่มวยหัวจิเราค่ะ best student เราเต้น classroom มากี่มอลกี่บังคับอันนั้นเขียนตัวมเจ้าค่ะexam นาเลมาร์กตั้มมุทีเรามาว่าจิห้อยบานะ conclusion นั่นเองสิงหอยอินค่ะกะเอาอีสว่างกะหอยอินค่ะสิงหอยมาอันสว่างเอานะกี่ปาก
Hi everyone, I am Haulunlal Zhou from St. Paul Institute. I'm presently studying class 12 arts. Now my question is that you mentioned that Mahatma Gandhi tell us that education is all around development, and how come education and high scoring mark is related?
Education to high scoring mark akan relate namo akan relate na le education ni ji chang kha education ji chang kha lai kya lo in chen kha lai le hwam kha attitude development social development แต่งของหวามใครจ้า social development attitude แต่ของอาหอยาเลยสกุลกายนาเลยที่หอยดีชัวร์มันนี่นะสกุลละอีหอยาที่จะได้ทุยมังงาเลยมาร์กสั่งหมู่ที่รัวได้
We respect our teacher and we cannot. How come we respect our teacher and we get good mark. If we didn't study, how come if we study we get good mark? But how come if we respect our teacher we can get good mark?
If we respect our teacher, we will surely study and we will get high marks. They told us to study, right? If they told us to study, if we respect, we will study and get high marks.
Then is high mark is only for good student?
High mark, good student. Tia di châu chỉ nãy đây tôi là bên na tàng pia khát student hỏi tên khát high mark một tàng pia về student hỏi lâu tê le asiam việc vụ tê le khát khoác bill là này tê le sim kê lâu thầy toán lâu đuôi.
Then my last question, how come and what is related to high mark, scoring high mark? You just mentioned in your presentation. Good work is same as high mark. How come?
Then scoring high mark, the test of a good student chỉ biển khác. Van gặp lắm biết on tệ cả kỹ trang khác. Van gặp lắm biết biển khác. Again tên là gì khác? Không biết là thì nói sẽ biển khác. But for example, your exam, your exam. Lý tung anh thì nói sẽ biển khác. But hiện nay để khả năng bằng exam này cho. Exam cái lệ thì nói xem lại xem. Hoài na xem tâm á, thì tâm á lấy exam na lấy cái tâm thì hoài exam na mark tâm mũ biển khác. Hoài lấy tụ ai sẵn na biển khác. Và lấy tung anh thì nói biển na sẽ tâm á lấy. Thì nói na sẽ tâm lệ và cái mà lên là mình tâm đi chị. Đà này.
Is scoring high mark is the test of a good student? I would like to say that scoring high mark is not a test of a good student. Marks is only the outcome of 3 episodes of writing. Students who score less mark in the examination does not mean they are fool or they are less intelligent. And scoring good mark in the examination does not mean the student is more intelligent and does not mean he is a good student. Our education show us that in our examination, it shows that how the student remember about the lesson, how they came up to the lesson, and the ability of their remember and recollecting of what they study is just only so. An example, we can say that Albert Einstein, he's a great physician, we all know. Yes, he is a great physician, but he used to pass only grace mark. And if he used to pass only grace mark, though he used to pass only in grace mark, that he cannot be considered as a bad student. But he is one of the great physicians now. Everyone know that and respect, and they remember that he is a good student. Then he only passed in a grace mark, and does not mean he is a bad student. School and college give us more lesson and gain mark. Some students may pass in the exam by heart system, just by heart, but that only for a time being. Why students are based only in good mark, not only based on other particular activities in which they are. Students who score high mark in the examination and students who does not score high mark in the examination, when they go in their professional scenario, they are more successful than those who score in high mark. In our local, if we look at before the exam, our teacher always told us that get good mark and get a high grade. That will define your future, and that will define your future. But I would like to say that marks and grade does not show our intelligence. Good high mark and high grade is only required for our job and to get in a good college. And grade does not define how smart we are, and people's opinion does not define our future. Grade are just only grade and marks are only just matter when the subject matter to you. If a student does not interested in just like chemistry, physics, and if their parents send them to science stream, how come he will get good mark? Yes, if he is interested in just like arts, taking arts. An artist, we have our own professional line to say that our fashion. If a student does not interested in study and cannot score good mark, he cannot be called as bad student. But we can reconsider that. But according to high mark, it is only a test of good student that he is not a good student now. And grades are everything. Grades are not everything in life. Grades and exams are temporary, but our education system and our knowledge is permanent. We continue to believe that the way we perform at school is the way we perform at life. And we continue to believe that what value and what important school is what value in our importance of life. The truth is that no one opinion can define our future. We are not defined by our grades. We are much more than our grade and a sheet of paper. Our mental health is important than our grade, and our physical health is more important than our mark. It is that grades are not important. It's just that the basic of education. And those students who learn their lesson by heart may get high mark, but only for an exam time being. Why the student is based on mark? The truth is that we all have strength and weakness. There will be some subject that we will perform extremely well, and others we will struggle with. And we have to follow our constitution, our constitute, and we have to follow our heart and follow our fashion, and follow the nature monuments that's come to us. Because when school measure our success based on our grade and result, this is the point in our life. Because life is not about the high result, high marks or high grade. It is about the destination, and it's much about the process. And high grades and mark does not define our future or good student. What defines a good student is that who are self-disciplined, and then who are punctuality, who have the punctuality, and a team player and confident, and among the students who can communicate with other students. And to be given example, Tare Jamin Par, we know that if we watch the young boy, he go to school. His father sent him to school, but he's not interested in study, and he always fails. Does not mean he's a bad student, because his mentality cannot concentrate on the study, or just like maths, history, he cannot remember. But his passion is in painting. If he go in his own professional line, he is more successful. And in Three Idiots, we know that the three friends, American and his two friends, one wants to become engineering, but three of them are sent to engineer. But one is want to be a photographer. But in India, we know that especially in some other states, we know that if a child is born, if he is a boy, that he should be engineering. And if it's a woman, then it should be a doctor. Then how come that student will go in their professional line? Like that, the young boy from Tare Jaminpur, he cannot study, and if her father send him to engineering, he will not able to go, because his mentality or his mind is not focused, or his passion is not in study. His focus or his passion is in painting. He is a great painting. Another example is that Puspa. She received an award of CNN Hero in 2013, and remember that she always used to pass in grace mark. And then scoring high mark is a good of student does not mean it means that she is a bad student. How come a bad student can receive a Hero of CNN award? Now, I like to say that marks and grades does not define our future. That's only define our remembrance and ability or the ability. How come a student who have less ability, or a student who always study every night more than who got score high mark in exam and cannot score high mark in the exam, or some student they are creative and genius, and they score. If they don't study much also, they know that from the teaching also, they know they can learn and they can score mark. In exam, teacher told us to study some point and some. That does not increase our knowledge. That was only for only the time being. We forget after examination. That's our education system. And for my conclusion, I like to say that every parent should not just their children if he or she get score mark. If he or she score mark, that the parents should encourage their child to get more mark in the next coming exam. Because in India, when the result of class 12, class 10 boards result out, there are many students who commit suicide because they score less mark. Because they score less mark, they know that their parent will score them because of less mark. That's why mark is not important much. The student, the quality of the student is more important. And parents should not judge their child because they score less mark. Thank you.
Is scoring high mark the test of a good student? No, chi na le. Exam na mark tom chik mute ai ke le. Classroom ma test yang kha mark mungi lau te khong. Hai pa nao bang oi hi na che thei dia.
Good student ichi chang a hele mark to grade zia a good student gwa ki chilo hi ama personality dungzui a ki gen hi a mark tom pi muin bangkhat la jong example ka pi atare jamin par ana pong pa jong ku ye da hi le ama jong lekha mark to mu hi wanga anuli apa tu chu bang hi le lekha lama pe lo hu bangchin exam a mark tam mu thei dai la now pong le khalam lunglu lo hi lo la ama to kitwa ama a professional line to a fashion to kitwa lo wa lunglu thelwa hi la bangchin ma hoi amu thei dai now pong hoi ichi chang a hi le thumang chi hi amo thumang hin din teacher te thu gen ngai mil a jong ki hal mi to jong ki pol nok chi te good student hi.
Next question. If high mark does not define our future, what will be the use of our certificate?
If mark does not define our future, what will be the use of certificate? Achi ahila, if future again chang ahila imasang hunding ahia. Mark penin ahile kham suina azong ang petedinga. Hinalang isong knowledge inelo ahila kan loading ahi. Mi house tampi China mi house jekma ichi jong hile amazong mark high school mark tampi mu hisya nalang isong 2 in media trading in COVID China house pen khat ahi abana mi house dampi like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Mukesh Ambani chiloi jong ahi le mark tampi mu ahi siwa mo amau professional line ape chang wa hi le a future hoi ahi student mark tamute se ahi le milo ching hi siu hi mark mi tam milo ching ji chang hi le professional line e ma hi na ding ai pe chang ahi le footballer chi te bang example la ending in Messi to Ronaldo kitang mama itheu ama utigal hila lekha sim sa in a professional la pe siu le kithei khaloding hi hoja a professional la ang pe chang wa a future is on bright hi hoja student pe na hila ma go ba khat di hilawin ama hi na ama lunglut na dingin pe sa ding hi
chile footballer Ronaldo te Messi tan nge na chile ama professional line na pai la ya kha ajil lai be oi mo apai tuang lai wa ajil lai an siam ke leu bang tu tan tong tuang din nai ta le ajil lai yu kha good student na hi ngai we chu good student poi mo hi chi
good student ichi pen hela good student poi mo ma hinala ngai zong mark tampi mu pen good student hilawa hi e topic mo mark tam mu pen good student hilawa hi ming a professional line alunglu na ang pe chang in lo chinga hi Ronaldo Messi ichia ka igena amau zong a professional line a pe chang wa hi le pangu chita apangu inchin huchanga lo chingwa hi amau professional line a pe lo chita apang lo le bang chin a lo ching tuan diwai